This podcast episode is brought to you by the Canine Cooperative, an exclusive community of dog owners where you can find me live every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. to talk all things dogs. Find us online at vermontdogboardingandbehavior.com/cooperative. Enjoy the show.
Time again for Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, owner of Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. It's the show that delves into the training, socializing, behavior, nutrition, and wellness of your dog. And brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard, with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And we're back with the trainer, Ian Grant, and today it's creating the environment you want, the environment for your dog. So not only is it the physical environment, but probably the behavioral environment as well. It's probably just as important as we know.
Yes, it is. The behavioral environment goes beyond the obedience part of it, because this goes beyond the physical position that your dog is in. So when we talk about the environment, it's going to encompass everything here as we move along.
All right. So, for example.
Well, so recently I went to a client's house, got a couple of dogs, and it's amazing to see how much things get accommodated, meaning, okay, if my dog can't meet somebody, then I have to go put it into a crate. And then, so that's where the dog stays. So yes, it's safe, but know that we're never teaching that dog what we actually want. Yeah. So what we've done by accommodating is just go to your crate or go to your place or whatever. Yeah. And then you have another dog that's too excited to meet somebody, and then that one gets tethered to something else. And so, yes, again, it's safe, but so you see how these accommodations just kind of keep happening over and over and over again. Yeah.
Of course, that's not the reason why we get a dog. We have our own expectations for a dog, and we're kind of selling ourselves short if we just kind of settle for this kind of behavior and not try to train them.
Yeah, I've gone into other people's houses and all the curtains and shades are pulled because the dog keeps barking at people walking by. So we're accommodating. We're just trying to stop the behavior. So this is what I mean is you can either become a part of the environment and just keep accommodating, or you can create the environment you want. And what I find with this is that these dog owners that are, becoming a part of the environment, all they're doing is saying no to their dog. No, don't do this. No, don't do that. And this is your game of whack-a-mole, Yeah. The dog just kind of keeps trying, going, is this okay to do? No, is this okay to do? And pretty soon, this is your entire vocabulary with your dog is just no.
Yeah, and the neurosis has begun to set into the dog, like probably afraid to put a paw down, saying, well, can I do that?
And human, too, because the owner has no idea what to do at this point. And when I see these situations pop up, and I say to the client, they'll always say, Ian, my dog will do X, Y, and Z. I go, and how do I correct it? I go, well, what would you like to have happen? And I get this deer in headlights look because they've never thought of it in the aspect of this is actually what I would want my dog to do.
And that it is fixable.
And that it is fixable if we teach the dog that this is what we want, instead of just saying no or giving a huge yank on the leash or, doing all this weird stuff to the dog that will be detrimental to your relationship.
Which is sending the wrong message anyway, and you're actually defeating the purpose of what you're doing.
Yeah, what do they say? You're robbing Peter to pay Paul to
Exactly,
yeah, exactly. And so look at this from this much more positive version of, okay, instead of pulling the shades on the windows, what do you want to have happen? Okay, well, I'd like to have my dog just hang out quietly with us and be able to watch people walk by. Great. Now let's get started because that's what you want. And so let's train the dog that this is what you want. This is what you want the dog to look like, act like, and it's not going to have anything to do with any physical position obedience-wise. This is strictly behavior 100%. And so if we don't ever teach our dogs how we want them to behave, how would they ever know how to? And so when you talk about rules, this is what we're talking about.
So our owners don't want to train them, or they don't think they can train them to behave the way they want them to behave?
I think, number one, they don't know how, which is very fair. I mean, I don't know even how to change the oil in my car, so guess what? I'm going to pay somebody to do it for me.
Right, and so if they need some help, that's why you're around.
Exactly. And I think, too, that there's a lot of people that struggle with this, so people aren't alone that are dealing with these types of behaviors. But start picturing in your head of what you want this to look like, and there are some people that can make this happen, but don't ever be afraid. We've talked about this before. Don't ever be afraid to use a leash inside your house. It's not just an outdoor tool. because an inside tool like a leash can help you out a ton with creating what you want.
Yeah. And of course you have to, if you're going to make the commitment and making the corrections, you want the dog to act this way, you got to be prepared to put in the work too.
For sure.
Because you just you train it or do the exercise once or twice and you'll be back closing the shades again.
Yeah. One thing about dogs and humans, we snap back into a routine pretty quickly, positive or negative. And so we have to stick to it, and we have to put in the work for at least a month for it to stick.
And really, as I was saying at the top, when you get a dog, you want it to be your companion. You want it to be a family member. You don't want to be all of a sudden going by their rules, and it's not good for the dog either. I mean, it's not. It's probably not a happy dog, I wouldn't think.
No, look, we have a main road right outside of this station. We have rules on how we're supposed to drive on that road,
right?
And that's to be expected. And so there's rules when we bring an animal into our house that these need to be followed, and we expect them to be followed. So it's fair to me. It should be clear and fair.
Persistence and consistency.
Yes.
How many times have we used those words over the last 6 years?
Probably not enough.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing the show still.
Right.
Back with our question from the doggy bag in just a moment here on Talking Dogs.
Are you looking for a way to save money on dog training? Look no further. The Canine Cooperative is my exclusive community of dog owners that are learning about leash handling, body language, and the building blocks of dog psychology. Join today and use coupon code SAVE50 at checkout and get 50% off your first month. For less than $10, you can start training your dog today to get the results you've always wanted. This offer is only available for a limited time, so don't wait. Click on the SAVE50 link in the show notes to end the struggle of dealing with unwanted behaviors. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about this amazing deal. Thanks for listening and happy training.
Back to Talking Dogs with Ian Grant from Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. To find out more about his facility, go to vermontdogboardingandbehavior.com. And our question this morning, Ian, is it bad if my dogs can go in and out of the house whenever they want with a dog door? So in other words, just giving them full range of the house. Doesn't that go back to the rules of not letting your dog go flying around the house all the time?
I sense a theme today.
I'm sensing that myself. Why do folks have dog doors then?
I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, there's an ease to it of not having to get up and let your dogs out if you're fenced in.
So it's a convenience thing for the owners.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, I will say this: if your dog is everything that you want them to be, no problems, happy-go-lucky, you can meet anybody, dogs, everything like that, and there's zero problems. I have zero problem with the dog door going in and out, but
as long as they know the rules.
Right. And if you're having behavioral problems with your dog, then that door needs to get shut.
Right. I was going to say, that's not going to help.
No, because the dog is consistently making its own decisions. And I don't want that. They can make some decisions, but I'm not going to give them the liberty of walking outside whenever they want and barking at the neighbor that's walking by or searching for squirrels or anything like that on their own, because that will be detrimental to what that dog is practicing every day. And then that's when I create structure that says, okay, I will let you out at these times. And obviously there are times when a dog really needs to go out and we need to adhere to that. But I don't like the freedom of just the in and out, in and out, in and out if you have some behavioral problems.
Yeah. Can you train a dog to use the door properly or instinctively? I mean, in other words, can it go in and go out and not go flying into the house? Is that possible?
I think you could. Yeah, I think I think that would have to go along with the dog that is very content with you, the environment, the structure you provide. It might be that 1 in a million dog that we've talked about in the past, where it just can have all that freedom and it never gets into trouble and it's always making good decisions. In that situation, then yeah, I have no problem with it. But those are a little fewer and far between.
I was going to say, you would almost think that the dog would have to have some sort of structure before you even think about the door.
Yes, and that would probably get created first before the freedom of the door.
Otherwise, if you're putting the door in for your own convenience, get ready for some training exercises.
Yeah, some changes.
Yes.
Yep.
If you have a question for Ian, you can email him directly to info@vermontdogboardingandbehavior.com. Well, when we get together next week, the warm-up phase of walking your dog, the pre-walk, the pregame show, so to speak. I think we've kind of gone over that in the past, but it's worth doing it again with people, constantly walking their dog.
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be actually the stuff that you can do outside with your dog before the walk instead of inside, because this might just help people tweak things a little bit for their walk. So we'll get rolling with that.
It's another chapter of walking your dog.
Yes.
On Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, brought to you by Guys Farm and Yard with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And for the trainer Ian Grant, I'm Roland LaJoy, and we are Talking Dogs.